The AllStar MMA Live back in your face for another major event. Not really, you know what I mean? You know, it's a UFC Vegas show, but there's a lot to talk about. There was a few fun fights, a lot of finishes, right? A lot of surprises, a lot of hype trains, so to say, getting derailed, you know, a few undefeated records cracked. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun show, I think. Even though there's no like star power on the card, there's still high level MMA going on. J Spec, how's the league going right now on the AllStar app? Everybody go to the descriptions. Make sure you download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC shows. Both those guys are in it deep. J Spec got his own league. What's the update? Did somebody won the BJ Penn autograph?
So there we go. A couple of stuff. The last time out, because we're on the verge of a new pay-per-view, right? Next week is a pay-per-view event, and that's a game inside of the game. So of course we got the league, just like John mentioned. Champion every month will win autograph sports memorabilia. June's champion, kind of no surprise. Our boy Harris, the lead horse of the game from day one. I mean, the guy is an incredible picker and incredible
I don't know how he does it.
UK magic. I have the only intel I have on him is from the UK, so maybe something about those UK fans. They're hardcore and they're really into the sport, so maybe that helps. But Harris is the champion of June, winning this beautiful BJ Penn autograph 8x10. And last month's the game within the game, like I said, the Ultimate Fight game is during UFC pay-per-view events in our Twitter spaces. All you got to do is be the highest picker in the room, dude. And Preston Kesselring, our other buddy, he won that, frequent guy to the show. So this coming weekend is another chance for you guys to jump in. And if you already are on the app, don't worry. The app backlogs your points, and it doesn't matter. Just get in the game now, build up your skills. We're going to keep rolling. So there's plenty of opportunities to win. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's the status.
Yeah, for sure. Join the community, man. There's a bunch of leagues in there. It's not just J-Spec. There's a few other leagues, and thousands of people picking fights every week. You could chat, DM, there's group chats, all of that good stuff. So make sure you guys get in there, download the app. It's in the descriptions. Also, J-Spec, you got your own app.
I do. Yeah. And it's for people to enjoy entertainment, TV, movies, and shows, live and video on demand, right there. nvstreams702.com. That's where you want to go, and you can get all the apps on your tablets, devices. All the compatible things are listed on the website real quickly. Android devices, Amazon Fire Sticks, Google Chromecast, NVIDIA Shield, and recently released, still in beta form, for PC, Windows, and Mac. We're working on iOS soon, folks. So there you go. If you got any questions, hit me up right there at JSpec the host on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, and help you out. Save some money, watch everything.
There you go. And yeah, I use the app myself. It's phenomenal, man, especially for live events. And yeah, I've been watching the Wonder Years, man. I haven't seen that show in so long, but it's a great show. I forgot about the whole storyline, so you can watch it from beginning, and I'm loving it. Wonder Years, man. I'm kind of old, so I'm pretty sure some people that are watching this, they have no idea what the hell that is.
Winnie Cooper is still fire, bro.
Yeah, Minnie Cooper. Sicko, man, what you been up to, man? I know you busy doing work.
Being a dad, man. Being a dad and just trying to get out these YouTube videos and podcast episodes. So just check that out.
Who are you working with nowadays? Can you say?
Solo Dolo.
Oh, solo. Not like, who are you doing the videos for? I know you do some videos for Marcus McGee.
Yeah, Instagram stuff for him and some jiu-jitsu guys as well. But outside of that, personal, just YouTube, Spotify, Sicko Sports on there to catch that stuff. And if you ever need somebody to edit some stuff, hit me up.
There you go. We got a comment from Brianna Frost. Make sure you guys go to Brianna Frost's Twitter, follow her, and also go follow or go subscribe to her OnlyFans. It's fire. I've checked out some of the videos myself, so
product line
hit her up.
Not only that, sorry, I want to jump in there. She has a great product line where she makes scented soaps and candles and lotion and just all kinds of cool stuff. So she's multi-talented, multifaceted.
There you go. Now, UFC Vegas 76 main event. Let's get into it. Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov. Abus goes in there first round, just killing it, like just teeps to the body, kicks to the. He was doing his thing, man. Like he was landing at will, like he was teeing off on Sean Strickland. But Sean Strickland has got to be one of the toughest dudes on the roster, like the whole roster, because he just marched forward, took all the shots, even got poked in the eye badly, like real bad. And then came in the second round, and Abus didn't train for 5 rounds. He didn't even train for 2 rounds. He trained for a 1-round fight and got stopped in the second round. Sicko, man, just looking at this fight, a lot of people were angry about the matchup because Abus only had 1 fight in the UFC, and it was only 19 seconds or something like that. And now he's a main eventer against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland looked like he was just picking up a paycheck because from what I saw, he got a flat fee. So it didn't matter if he won or lost, but he got paid a pretty decent amount. What'd you think about the fight, though, outside of all of that?
Man, I picked Sean Strickland coming into this fight just because I didn't know enough. I didn't see enough. Like you said, 1-0 in the UFC, but 19 seconds, that doesn't tell me enough about a guy. I don't get to see what he's looking like, especially against Sean Strickland, man. I know he has some tough losses. I know he's lost to some guys that are at the top, former champion Pereira. He has that controversial loss to Cannonier where a lot of people felt like he won. But those are guys at the top, man. To fight Abus, to fight Magomedov, I just didn't know what he was made out of. So that's why I went with Strickland. And then during the fight, the first round, I mean, we talked about it. The question was, can you do this for 5 rounds? Like these kicks, these crazy head kick to body kick to teep kick to head kick. It's like, how are you going to keep this going? How can you keep this pace for 5 rounds? And like you said, we didn't need to see if he could keep it for 5 because he couldn't keep it for 2. And just veteran in Sean Strickland, man, he's fought so many guys at the top. It wasn't going to surprise him. Maybe Magomedov felt like, hey, I could probably get him out. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe he thought I could get him out of here in the first round. He started throwing some big shots. But, once you got into the second round, as soon as Sean Strickland started getting Magomedov moving backwards, it was just you saw him crumble. He melted. Like he literally just melted in there. As soon as he had to start trying to work off the back foot, it just wasn't there for him. So shout out to Sean Strickland, man. It's a good win. Unranked, I don't really know what it does for Sean Strickland, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But still a great performance. So hats off to him. Credit to the crazy man, Sean Strickland.
What I got from this performance, or what I dissected from this performance from Sean Strickland, is that Sean Strickland, if he faced the top guys, I think he would lose. He just doesn't have the style, man. Like that style is not going to help you against Israel Adesanya. If you do that against Israel Adesanya, he's gonna finish you. Like that's a first round finish for him. You know what I mean? Sean Strickland is tough, and he's probably one of the toughest dudes on the roster. But to me, you can't do that. Like against a Paulo Costa, right? Like a guy that has major power, that can strike, and that has a decent gas tank. I don't know, man. His style doesn't change, and it's fun to watch him fight. But I think if he's there to just make money, then he could do this forever. Like he could beat the guys up beat up the guys that are coming up in the division and make his cash. And but eventually some of those guys will beat him too. You know what I mean? This style is not a style where it's gonna last very long. J-Spec, what do you think? Do you think that he can make another run for the title? Do you feel like, he is calling for the title, but do you think he could go up there and beat some of these guys, and even like a Dricus du Plessis?
I'm going to just jump right on and say no. Some of the people you talked about will already pose huge problems for him. But then a part of me says, yes, not that he could win, but he could get that title shot based on popularity, ability to work the media, and win. Yeah, exactly. And just all he's, there's Robert Whittaker, probably, in my opinion, probably going to beat Dricus du Plessis. But you got guys like that who's kind of clearing out the division for him, creating scenarios where people don't want to see awkward trilogies or rematches, like that kind of stuff. So between him winning main events, looking damn good doing it, and like I said, working that microphone. That dude works the microphone, like a stripper on a pole on Saturday night. I mean, he's got all the skills, and he could do it in that way. But Yeah, okay, first off, let me also say I picked Magomedov, and I was so happy in round 1. I saw a guy frozen. I saw a guy not knowing what to do, or appearing not knowing what to do. I thought it was like a process that I was just going to watch, and he was just going to get chopped up for however long he could last. Wrong. Boy, was I wrong. And all the things Sickle said, such as we didn't know what the gas tank is like. We said these things in our spaces as we were watching long, and it like poof grew right in front of us. Man, I just got to tip the hat to Sean Strickland. Like he went from one person in the cage to a totally different person in the second round. It was like two completely different people. So, man, with all that being said, I'm pretty impressed. I'm also curious to know more about that flat fee thing, because I mean, then didn't he just kind of cut himself out of a bonus, if that's the fact? Because he got, wasn't that one of the performances of the night or something like that? He got named, but I didn't know. That's new news to me that he took a flat fee. I'm interested in hearing more about that part.
I think there were 2.
Well, the flat fee means that you just get paid a flat amount. Like you just get paid a certain amount, win or lose, and you could still get a bonus. You could still get a performance bonus. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you can't get a bonus, but I guarantee you, whatever the flat fee was, it was probably just as much as him winning the fight, or even more. You know what I mean? Who knows? But his management is probably taking care of that, and he's getting compensated well. But yeah, when you look at Sean Strickland, he in his last fight he beat Nasruddin Imavov, right? Which is a decent win, but Imavov is not a top 10 fighter, right? He lost to Cannonier, top 5 fighter. He lost to Pereira, top 5 fighter. He beat Hermanson by split decision. The last time he finished a fight was against Brendan Allen, which was in 2020. That was the last time he finished a fight. Every other fight he's won his by decision. He doesn't really finish fights, and he draws people in with his, with his mic skills, basically, right? With the controversial takes and all of that. And if he needs to do that to get paid more, then he needs to do that to get paid more. He says some stupid things, but he also says some funny things as well on top of, and he works the media really, he works the media. He knows how to be the media darling by being controversial, but also, kind of making jokes with the media. Right? Yeah, it's unique. And
darling by way of asshole is what.
Yeah. Because what is the media gonna do? You know what I mean? Are they gonna attack him? You already know nowadays that MMA media is not there to really attack, like face to face at least. You know what I mean? Of course, they'll write articles all day, but the media that's there at the events, they're there to cover the show. They're not there to be, they're not there to do that, right? So Sean Strickland knows that, and he's working it. But what's next for him? You know what I mean? He beats a guy that's unranked, which does nothing for him. He gets paid, which is great, right? But in the division, what do you do? Where do you go with him, Sicko?
I would go Vettori is what I would do. I mean, from my understanding is Sean doesn't want to be a gatekeeper. He's not looking at his career saying, my run to the top's kind of over. I'm going to stay around this area. I think he still wants to try to get to that title shot. And why not Vettori? After this win, Sean Strickland was 7. I'm assuming he's going to move up. I don't know how many spots, but Vettori's right there at 4. He's coming off of a loss. Strickland's coming off of a couple wins. I think it's time to pair those guys up. Personally, it makes sense from like a business standpoint of what to do in the rankings. That fight to me is 100% a decision victory. I don't know if anybody thinks Vettori or Strickland could finish each other, but it makes the most sense in terms of Sean Strickland potentially becoming a title contender, getting that title shot. To me, it's Vettori.
All right. J-Spec, what about you? What do you see him doing?
That is a beautiful thing. I mean, I didn't know that he said he doesn't want to just be a middleweight gatekeeper, because that was going to be my answer. If this guy's, already negotiated flat fees, keep fighting downhill. Keep being the star of the fight night. Get your name on the marquee and not have to worry about, the hardest top 5 guys. Like, what's wrong with being number 6 if you're getting paid like number 2? Is kind of my mindset. If he can keep bussing people up, keep looking good, and earning that money, like you said. Because it gets brought up with him, and I don't know, I've never talked to the guy, but it gets brought up a lot that he said certain words like, fighting is my profession, it's not my passion. And when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, right, there's the fighters that are here to make a living for themselves, and then there's the fighters who are motivated by the dreams and ambition of being a champion, and that probably needs passion, right? So not questioning Sean's passion at all, but shoot, I think either or, right? And I definitely like the matchup Sicko just called out. Like, Vettori would probably be his easiest way to get himself a title shot. And not saying Vettori is easy at all, but stylistically, it's a guy who's going to try to scrap with you, and that's what he needs. He doesn't need someone who's going to try to mat him. So, yeah, hey, all the best to Strickland, because he made me wrong, and I usually support the guy, but man, I crossed my wires and went the wrong way this time.
Sean Strickland is like the weirdest version of a company man, if you think about it, right? He's the weirdest version of a company man. He lives in Vegas, trains in Vegas, so he's ready to like step in pretty much. He's ready. He's always sparring. He's always training. He's willing to fight anybody. And he never really attacks the UFC, very rarely, right? And a lot of his attacks are to everybody outside, right? Or either to fighters or the media. When you look at it, I think he has like 3 options. You could put him against Roman Dolezaj, right? Because he doesn't have a fight. You could do the Brendan Allen rematch, because Brendan Allen is on fire right now, right? He's probably one of the hottest fighters in the division. Or you give him the loser of Whitaker Duplessis, because I think either one, it would be a good fight for Sean Strickland. I still think you should put him against guys that are top. I don't understand like the logic behind this main event, right? It goes back to what people are saying about the UFC spreading themselves thin with too many shows. And I don't mind it. I don't mind them, having a lot of shows. The reason why is it gives more opportunities for fighters to fight more often in the year, right? So why would you be mad about that? If you don't like it, then you don't have, what they say, you don't have to watch it, right? You don't have to watch every week. You don't, but people still do and still complain. That's just human. I think it's human nature that people still watch and still complain. There's other leagues you can watch, right, with high level talent. And just make your decision. I just think there's just too much complaining going on with this shit.
Yeah.
But
I got one more name for Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
This is the WWE era of the UFC, right? Sean Strickland, we'd all agree, is a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's playing a character.
Yeah.
Go full on, full heel. Chris Curtis next for Sean Strickland. Go full, I'm psycho. I don't care about anything but fighting. I've already fought, right? You could already hear him. I fight this guy in the gym all the time. We beat the crap out of each other all the time. Might as well do it and get paid for it. It sells, bro. Like, get that fight going. All jokes. I know that'll never happen. They are for real boys. But how fun would that be? If you're going to play into a character, go full on heel, man. Go deep dive into that character.
And just on that note, that's something we covered in the spaces. People, please realize that Sean Strickland has developed his own character, and that is spicy comedian. That's the role he plays. He's playing the role of a very spicy comedian. That's his thing. Don't get mad about it. Enjoy it. And to John's point, we are in a blessed time with all this UFC fights and all these events. If you're complaining about it, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't care what you talk about star power. Like it was said earlier on this show, there was great action throughout the night. And I know we're going to get to that. So there you go.
There you go. Right. To me, I don't watch any other sports at all. I don't understand. Like, I understand why people watch other sports, but like, I just don't have the time to watch other sports. There's like other sports are so much more time consuming than MMA, right? Unless you're watching like 50 different promotions, then you're an insane person, right? But if you're just watching the UFC, it's one block of time every weekend that you put aside to watch it if you're watching it. And some people don't even watch the prelims. You could just watch the main card, but you're missing out, man, on the prelims though. Like there's some fights on there that are just like, where did these guys come from? They're insane. Let's move on to the co-main event. Before we get to that, make sure you guys go into descriptions, download the AllStar app and make your picks on UFC fights. Grant Dawson, 11 straight victories. I think 8 in a row in the UFC. He's kind of slowly and quietly creeped up the division and got the biggest win of his career against Damir Ismagulov. There's not really much to say about Damir because he's probably going to retire after this fight because he was supposed to retire after the last fight, right? But anyways, Grant kind of like ushered him out the door. And what's the ceiling for Grant Dawson, J-Spec? Like, do you see him? Does he have the style? Because you got a couple of guys kind of with like a similar style right now in that top of that division that could give problems to a lot of the guys that are like the action fighters, so to say, like a Poirier, Gaethje, Fiziev. And the three are Grant Dawson. I put them in together in a group. Grant Dawson, Arman, and Gamrot. Like those three, like Arman, Grant Dawson, and what is it? What's the other guy's name? Gamrot, right? These guys, Dan Hooker, right? When I talked to him about the division and these types of fighters, the fighting styles, they're like the best at winning without actually fighting. Like it's kind of like describe, like they're like winning without actually fighting, and it's kind of a weird style, but you're winning though. You know what I mean? And you're at the top of the division. So with Grant Dawson, do you think he gives problems to, let's say, a Arman or a Gamrot? Because those are the fights that I want to see. I want to see the two kind of similar styles clash against each other to see who wins. Sicko, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting matchup, right? You get somebody who has that type of grappling pedigree. I don't know how much to take away from this last fight. Like you said, somebody who has one foot out the door already in Ismagulov. How much we take away from it? I mean, he sunned him. He treated him like a little boy. Had him in a full Nelson, like literally was just, he could have wet willied him in there, like just manhandling him. But where do we go from there? The great thing is he's in a division where the possibilities are endless. You just mentioned a bunch of other guys. We still have RDA and Vicente Luque that's coming up, but RDA can still fight, 155. That's still a possibility, still ranked there. Like, yeah, Sarukian, Gamrot, all those guys. A winner of Hooker and Jalen Turner is a possibility. Like, the possibilities are endless there at 155. All he has to do is just keep working up the ladder. You don't have to worry about running out of fighters or running out of guys for him. And as far as his style goes, yeah, that's kind of like the 155 style, right? Like you have to be able to wrestle. You have to be a grappler to contend at that division. And he seems like he's ready for it. So excited to see his next fight for sure.
I think Grant Dawson's Achilles heel compared to like Arman or Gamrot. Like Arman has his country backing him, right? He's basically a foreigner in the division, as well as Gamrot. He has like a little fanfare or a lot of fanfare from Europe. Dawson, he's American. And sometimes being American is not a good thing, right? Because you don't have like that fandom, you know what I mean? That country
push.
Push. And that could be something that's not, that works not in his favor. It's crazy, but I think Grant Dawson, I think he has the skills to beat those top guys. I think even like Islam, like he might even give Islam problems. He might not finish the fight, but he's going to give Islam a lot of problems, and he could probably even win a decision against Islam. What do you think, J-Spec? Do you think he's up there in that echelon of fighter where he's like in the same air as an Islam?
Not quite yet. I would like to see him fight some guys that won't just accept what he's doing. And what I like to say Grant is about is there's fighters who implement their fight, they bring the fight to you, and then there's fighters who just neutralize the shit out of you. And he's almost like baking soda. Like he's taking everything you got and making it not work at all. I want to back up what Sicko said. His opponent spoke the R word, the dreaded R word in fighting. If a fighter mentions the retirement word, they already have. Okay, I've watched enough fights to see this happen like literally thousands of times, where the person who ever even says the word retirement, they lose that next upcoming fight. I don't know what the statistics are, but it's ridiculous. So keep an ear out for that, for those pickers and bettors out there. But back to Grant Dawson, like, man, I would like to see him fight somebody, and I'm probably Matt. I don't know the schedule. Matt Favola, is a guy that is going to bring the fight to you, like it or not. Not going to be easy to neutralize. not someone halfway out the door. Stuff like that before I really say, hey, he could take on Islam. Because, man, I respect Islam. He's a champ, you know, and I think he deserves that. So it's hard for me to just throw that. But, man, he has real skills, and a neutralizing fighter isn't going to get that quick hype, but he grows on people, especially when you watch him do stuff like that. Like, he completely manhandled a grown man. Like Slickle said, he could have wet willied his ass. He could have made fart noises in his ears. I mean, he owned him. And when you watch someone just purely dominate over and over again, you start to get that respect just drilled in your head. And I'm actually okay, and I hope he is too. He seems like the kind of guy that's okay with not having the limelight on him. No pressure. Right? Nobody's hyping you up. Nobody's writing dumb articles about you, putting your name and writing checks for you to cash in the octagon. He can just slowly march his way up the ladder and make himself undeniable, like a few have before him. But yeah, man, I would like to, like I said, I don't know if Frivolo's already booked, but someone like him that is gonna fight you for real, and see if he can neutralize that.
Man, when you look at what Grant Dawson did, man, he got a takedown in every round, and he just kept the fight on the ground. Like Ismagulov couldn't get up, right? Like you said, he sunned him. Like he blanked him. You know what I mean? Like he no hittered, right? Yeah. Like basically in baseball, no hitter. Like that's what happened. And Ismagulov sucks for him because he just fought Arman. Very similar style, right? You know, some differences, but very similar style. And then he gets Grant Dawson, both guys that were at American Top Team with Ismagulov. Ismagulov, I believe he went to American Top Team from time to time to train. It's weird, man. But Dawson, he's in a funny place right now. I think he's in a funny place. Look at the significant strike difference. Look at the strikes difference. I don't even care about significance. Look at the strikes: 84-35, headshots 28-6. You know, Ismagulov had a little bit more of body shots, but you know they didn't really throw many body shots because they were on the ground most of the time.
And when you have a stat line like that, you can have a healthy long career. I mean, you could turn around quickly if you want to. I mean, he spent the whole time on the guy's back. Like, I'm assuming he received basically no damage, which is a beautiful way to fight.
It is a beautiful way to fight. What do we do with him though? Like what is an option for him? Sicko mentioned something. M agrees. RDA versus Dawson would be interesting and really shows us how good Dawson is. Not much to gain from a matchup from the matchup for RDA. Yeah, that's kind of true, right? RDA is looking for major fights. When you look at the top 15 and you look at Grant Dawson is he's at 15, right? So he just beat number 12. So what do? You put him at number 12? I think that's what's next for him. I kind of like the fight against, you know, J-Spec mentioned Matt Frivola, but also there's Moicano as well. I think those are the matchups he needs. I know Moicano trains at American Top Team, so but the thing about American Top Team, they're not the ones that are saying like, oh, I'm not gonna fight this guy. You know, a lot of the times they're not even training with each other, right? Because they know they're gonna fight each other. So I think Grant Dawson versus Matt Frivola, Moicano, or the loser of Turner Hooker would be something that would be interesting to see. But who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen with the division? But the thing about it is, we're in the age now in the UFC where you know you can win, but you gotta have something else. There's gotta be some other variable, right, for you. Like you gotta have some kind of fandom. You gotta be able to, you know, like there's gotta be some kind of, and do I think it's right? No, but it's just reality, right? It's reality. This is the era of, you know, entertainment for the UFC. Of course, they have the best fighters, and you know, not all of them, but most of them, and but you need some kind of pizzazz, right? And Grant Dawson, I don't know if he has that pizzazz, right? Is he gonna get what he wants? Maybe he steps in against Michael Chandler. That also could be something to see, right? I don't know, but we'll find out, right? Very, very soon, because I see him coming back before the end of the year, real quick. What do you think, Sicko?
Poor Michael Chandler. he was ready for this big payday, man, and now we're saying maybe he should fight Grant Dawson next.
Yeah,
I just feel bad for Michael Chandler, man. I really hope he can get that fight eventually. I think it's over, but yeah, I was just finding that hilarious.
Yeah,
go from Conor McGregor to Grant Dawson in a month.
And he's getting smacked up on tough by Conor, and he's not really doing nothing back. Yeah, it's just Michael Chandler, man. If you watch his videos, like if you listen to him talk, he's very like well spoken. Seems like a very nice guy. Yeah, like he's like the guy next door. Right, you know how they have the girl next door. He's neighbor. Like the guy. Yeah, he's like one of those great neighbors. Like he's cutting his bushes.
Yeah, he's mowing his lawn. Saying hi to you as you're coming out. Like, how's it going, neighbor? Shredded.
Helps you with your Christmas lights and shit.
Yeah, like he's the guy that shows up all of a sudden when you're unloading groceries. He's just like helping you.
Always inviting you for the cookout.
Yeah, like he's barbecuing. Like he's somehow, he's like that's Michael Chandler. Like, but he could whip that ass, right? That's just the difference. Yeah, man, it's good. The lightweight division right now, I think it's fun. You know what I mean? I think it's fun, and I think it's better than it was last year. With a lot of the guys coming up, interesting style matchups. And let's see who gets real violent in there. There's a lot of matchups coming up, and the title is not up for grabs yet. They haven't announced any fight because I think they're waiting for Volk and Rodriguez fight. If Volk wins and he's good to return real quick for Abu Dhabi, I feel like they're gonna put that fight together. I think that's what the UFC wants because that's what there's big drama there, right? And there's that IV thing. The UFC is going to use that. Accusations, all of that. I told you the UFC is all about entertainment. They're going to use anything and everything to promote the fight, and I think that's what they're waiting for. But anyways, let's move on to Michael Morales. Right, everybody's really hyped on him. Undefeated prospect. He just goes in there and does a real good job against Max Griffin. Right, the first round was kind of shaky, but round 2 and 3. He felt himself and got the unanimous decision. What's the ceiling on Michael Morales at 170, J-Spec?
I'm hoping the very best for this man. I mean, I think he's doing everything the right way, and he just fought in a very credible veteran in Max Griffin who gave him a test, and he answered it. I feel very similar to what we were talking about with Armin a couple of weeks ago. Like, young, talented, got the stuff, made the right moves, had some adversity. Like, I'm not in the position or of the state of mind to limit this young man yet. Like, he's undefeated and going the right way about stuff. So all I can say is I'm really looking forward to the next time he fights. He's big too, like very big. Like, you can see the couple times where he gathered his breath and he stood like actually upright instead of his fighting stance. Like, that guy is gigantic for 170. So I don't have a limit for him yet. He's proving to be a case of potential in motion, and where it goes, we all got to kind of sit back and watch it play out for us. And I'm excited too. The guy is good fight to watch, every time he's in there.
Man, he's beaten all veterans, man. He beat Trevin Giles, Adam Fugit, and now Max Griffin. These are veterans, right? Adam Fugit not so much, but Max Griffin and Trevin Giles, these guys have fought everybody, right? Like they've been around for a while, and those are some major wins for a young kid. What is he? How old is he? He's only like
24.
He's only 24.
That's what 24.
I mean. Ecuador, man. He's representing Ecuador. I'm pretty sure Ecuador's in love with him, and Mexico. Yes. Yeah. He trains out of TJ.
We took him.
Yeah. Trains out of TJ. It's all good. Yeah, man, it's crazy. He's super talented. I think he's only going to get better, and I'm looking forward to seeing him fight like somebody that's going to give him that real danger factor. He was supposed to fight Renat, who fought earlier. He was booked to fight him. That would have been it. I feel like they should put that fight together. Renat versus Michael Morales. They were booked already. Probably won't happen, but I like it. Max Griffin, man, that's a major win. Max Griffin is one of the toughest dudes. Has crazy cardio, but I think Max Griffin just took too much damage in that fight, and he just couldn't kick back into gear, man. Once you get clipped, you know, you hear a lot of fighters talk about it. Once you get clipped, it's like you go on autopilot, and you don't really know what you did or you're doing until it's like over, and then you're like, oh shit, what happened? You know what I mean? That's crazy, right? Like a fighter says that they got clipped in the first round and they don't remember what happened in the second and third, but they went to the decision and they won the fight. Well, Max Griffin didn't win. Sicko, Michael Morales, man, is he going to be somebody that you're pushing from behind? You're gonna push him like this is the guy?
Yeah, for sure. 24, man. I just don't want to see him in the top 15 anytime soon. Take your time. Gather some fights. I want that Sugar Sean O'Malley, that slow cook, man. We're not throwing you in the microwave. We're putting you on the smoker, and we're letting it smoke very slowly, cook slowly, man. That's what I want to see from him. 24, I don't want to see that candle lit and burn out by the time he's 27. I don't want him being 27, 28 and going, oh, yeah, remember he lost to, so-and-so who was ranked 3, 4, and 5, and then he's kind of out. Like, let him come along, man. I want to see him make that run, that top 10 run when he's 27, 28. You know what I mean? So bring him along slowly. That's a good fight. Anybody outside of the top 15 is a good fight. But let's see what he has. I mean, this was a great fight for him. I think this was best case scenario. Yes, you want to have another highlight reel knockout. You want to get him out early. But he still showed his power. He still showed his ability to land clean, his accuracy. He landed big shots on Griffin. But the reason why I say this was best case scenario for him is he had somebody that just would take it. He's going to take the shots and go the whole rounds, and that's what I was interested in, is seeing Michael again go 3 rounds. How does that endurance, how does that cardio hold up? And, just like anybody, he started getting a little bit tired at the end, but he still looked fine, and that's great. That's a great learning curve. You can always learn, even in your wins, your losses, and he's going to learn from this one too, and I think just bring him along slowly, man. Bring him along slowly. Don't give him too much too soon.
I want to just say, throwing this out there, that now he's got 3 wins in a row. I don't know if he had a 4-fight, which a lot of people get their 4-fight contracts right the first time around. I don't know exactly how that always works. But I want to hear the next thing come out on the news, that he got a new contract for a good amount of fights, for a good amount of money. And just like Sicko said, that progression, like let him keep knocking, or he didn't knock out Griffin, but just keep knocking fools around. Definitely. Like, the UFC is in need of young talent that's actually good, that's people are going to pay attention to. Because I say this all the time, they're running out of pay-per-view people. That's a whole nother point.
Yeah. I mean, I could see him catching like a Chiesa or somebody like that on the way out. A Luque, Michael Chiesa, one of those guys, like a few fights from now on their way out, then that's his entrance into the top 15. I can see that happening, but a few fights from now.
Yeah. One thing good about him is that he's all in, right? Like, it seems like he's very, very invested in this. And once you get that neck tattoo, there's no going back from that.
You a fighter. Yeah. You are in the fight game forever.
You ain't going back. You ain't going back after that neck tattoo. You know what I mean? That's one thing for sure.
Once you get the neck tattoo, you got 2 options. Either your career goes good and you work for UFC, or you end up in bare knuckle. It's one of the two once you get a neck tattoo.
Exactly. Or you work at a gas station, right?
or you become property of the state, which we don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
Did you fight Max Griffin once in 2023?
Yeah, for real. All right. Well, high ceiling for Michael Morales. Max Griffin, we know he's tough. He's gonna be back. He's gonna fight somebody, surprise us again and again. That's what Max Griffin's been doing his whole career in the UFC. He's just been surprising us, because I bet you a lot of people didn't expect him to be still with the UFC right now. But he's improved himself, and just a bump in the road for Max Griffin. Shout out to him. The next fight, a flyweight fight between Ariane Lipski and Melissa Gatto. A lot of people thought that Lipski might have lost this fight, but it was a very close fight, man. It was a split decision. I thought either way, you can't be really too mad unless you bet on the fight. Unless you bet on Gatto, then of course you're probably going to be mad. Nothing really to say about it. This fight was just a fight that just kind of like flew by, and you didn't really, right? Am I wrong saying that, J-Spec? It just kind of flew by, and then the fight was over?
It was the go make yourself a sandwich fight. I'll be honest. Obviously we were watching it, but we were talking through it because it wasn't providing the sparks or entertainment that you would hope for. I had this one wrong. I picked Gatto leading up to the fight, and she just wasn't in it. And I don't know, there's a definitely another women's fight that the result was dead wrong. I don't know why anybody would be arguing about this one. It was close in the sense that there was nothing spectacular happening, but Lipski owned whatever elements of the fight that was happening. Lipski was the A side of it. I don't really know where the controversy could be coming from.
Yeah, well, I think we should skip over this and go to Benoit Saint Denis against Ishmael Bonfim. So Bonfim, he debuted against Terrence McKinney, right? And flying knee knockout. Everybody's on the hype train. So everybody's rolling in thinking that Bonfim's going to go in here against BSD. I'm going to call him BSD. And steamroll through him. But it was the reverse. BSD went in there and steamrolled Bonfim like Bonfim was debuting in the UFC. Insane performance by BSD. Rear naked choke. Just complete and utter domination. Sicko, it kind of put him on the map, right? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't even know he was on the roster.
Well, I mean, he had a little bit of hype coming in, and it's just what happens when we are prisoners of the moment, man. Whenever it's all about just what have you done for me lately, where Saint Denis had some run, he had a little bit of clout, has the loss, and it's like, we're over him. And then Bonfim is completely opposite. People think really highly of Terrence McKinney. Maybe we should reevaluate how high we hold Terrence McKinney. Not saying he's bad. I do enjoy watching him fight. He comes with it every time. But maybe if you beat Terrence McKinney, it doesn't mean that you're ready to be a world champion. Maybe we should pump the brakes on how high we hold Terrence McKinney here. But yeah, he knocks him out, and it's like prisoner of the moment, right? Oh, here we go. This is the guy. We can't wait to see him. He's going to destroy so-and-so and so, and let's book him with this top 15, this top 10 dude. And then Saint Denis like, hey, that was me. That was me just before I lost my fight. And let me remind you, in case y'all forgot, let me remind you why I did have a little bit of hype coming into the UFC, why people were excited to see me. This is what I can do, man. So interesting fight. In this one, when you have somebody who's 11-1 and he's the underdog, and you have somebody that came off of a big knockout, giving him a tough fight in Saint Denis, I didn't think Bonfim was going to steamroll him. I thought he was going to get the win, and I was dead wrong, man. Saint Denis looked incredible. I mean, shoot, here we go. Back, right? I'm going to do it myself. I'm saying everybody's prisoner of the moment. I'm about to do it right now. I'm back on the Saint Denis train, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, Saint Denis, man. BSD. He's from France. France doesn't have that many, prospects, but he's definitely one of them. He showed us against Bonfim. Do we shoot him on that Paris card like right away? What's the matchup you want to see, Jay Speck? He was calling out a Gamrot, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Come on, man.
Hey, you got the mic. You got to call out who you got to call out. I'm totally for him jumping on the Paris card. I mean, that's ideal. They don't have, like you said, they don't have that many people. He's probably just fine, ready to go, ready to fight today if he had to. Like, I'll just also say that I was a Bonfim supporter before when he made his debut. Then he had his great moment. So I like both these guys coming in. It was just the wave of excitement for more Bonfim action, I think, got a lot of us. I picked wrong also on this one. Jesus, I went 6-6 on my picks, just a disclaimer. So anyways, back to the point. Benoit Saint Denis, man, dude is, I already had lots of respect for him, and I don't think he's anything short of really good. Now, does he get to fight top of the food chain guys right away? I don't know. I'm for the slow roasting that we talked about before. Like, the promotion has to build this new generation of fighters. I'm not exactly sure how to do it. I'm not the greatest matchmaker. I'm not really sure who he should fight next to make it good. But the UFC would be swinging and missing hard if they don't put him on that Paris card. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer, my dude. So, yeah, good call.
There you go. Let's move on to the next fight. Bruno Ferreira. He suffers his first loss of his career You know, I mean, he had that big performance against RoboCop in his debut, and man, he came in with a lot of hype, and just like Bonfim fought on the same card, got a lot of hype and lost and got finished. Same thing happened to Ferreira against Ruziboev. Ruziboev, man, he's a big dude, man. Like, I think he's like 6'6" or something crazy, like for the division. Like he's just as tall as like Izzy, right? And Ferreira at middleweight. But what do you guys think? What do you think, Sicko, of this performance against Ferreira?
I mean, I don't really know if I can take much away from it. I mean, it was great from viewing pleasure, right? We love to see those quick knockouts, those early, get them out of here, get on to the next fight. If anything, I could just say I'm really happy for Ruziboev, if I'm saying his name correctly. I see him crying after. I don't know what the backstory was. I don't know why he had so emotion after. It could just be that's how he reacted after a big win like that. But it was nice to see him feel that emotion, feel that excitement. He knew he was an underdog, but yeah, man, I don't really know if I can take too much away from Bruno. You throw a leg kick, it gets countered, fight's over. Like that's basically all that happened. Don't hold too much about it, man. Be a goldfish. Forget this fight happened. Move on to the next one. There's nothing you could take away besides, hey, man, don't throw a low calf kick and not be prepared for the straight right coming back at you. But other than that, not too much to take away from it. It's done too quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Ruziboev, man. He makes a great debut, and let's see what he can do from this point on, right? It's just he just gets a finish, and we just got to see who he gets matched up next against. But we'll always remember this fight, right? We'll always remember Ferreira, and we'll always remember his RoboCop knockout and him getting knocked out in this one as well. Moving on, Kevin Lee's return. J-Spec, Kevin Lee's return, right? Kevin Lee, man. He doesn't change. Leading up to it, he's talking about why he's fighting in the Apex, you know, he's complaining, and then he goes in there in 55 seconds. What do you think, Kevin Lee? I think, you know, I've been always high on Kevin Lee, and I always said like he's gonna come back to the UFC, and he did. But man, he's not getting better. J-Spec.
My answer is very opposite. My feelings for you is direct opposite. I don't think he's very good at all. And I think they cut him at the right time. I think he should have put his name for sale at that point, because he got that win in Eagle FC over Diego Sanchez, which take that forever, however you want it to be. And he didn't kill Diego, which thank God nobody kills Diego. But, you know, I expected him to whoop Diego's ass. And it was a little bit more competitive than it should have. Obviously, he totally won. But that's yesteryear. At that point, I think Mr. Lee should have put his name on tour. I'm sure one of the organizations out there would have paid him nicely, since that's what he's about. And I was saying it during the space. Sicko's my witness. I lead up to this fight, man. I don't like that attitude, bro. Like, you're getting your second chance back. Humble yourself, bro. You don't belong on the main card right now. You're working your way back. You don't get to grumble about where the venue is. You're lucky even putting on UFC gear right now, man. And that kind of stuff is real distasteful to me. It makes me not like you even further. And I'm kind of, I mean, I'm not wishing bad or people to lose, but I'm not surprised either. I'm really not. He's just like you said, he's not getting any better. And it just feels like he didn't really learn anything from leaving the UFC or getting cut from the UFC. Like, pretty much, look how many guys who have done that and they come back and their mental state, everything about them usually gets better. In this case, not so much. And on the other hand, just like we're talking about the previous two fights, when you get smoked real quick, hey, shit happens. This is combat. I'm not saying that he can't fight and be valuable and still win fights. This is fighting, bro. These are the guys in the UFC. These are people who've been training for a long time. And you're grown men colliding in combat. Sometimes you get smoked. And I'm okay to see Kevin Lee. I don't know how many fights he got on his new deal, but I think he can win if match made appropriately for himself. And yeah, I really think the better thing for him would have been to sell the Kevin Lee name on the open market. But now he's here collecting L's, unfortunately. Good luck, Mr. Lee, in your future. please don't complain about where you're fighting next time, dude. That's all I can say.
The UFC didn't do him any favors. You know what I mean? The only favor that they did was re-sign him, and then they said, "Okay, you're gonna fight Renat." And I think Renat is like one of those like killers that most people don't really know about too well, but I feel like he's gonna be in the same as Shavkat. I feel like he's gonna be like Hamza. I just don't think that he's gonna have the hype, but I feel like he's just as good right now. And he could fight the top guys right now and do really well. He just has the skill set, and his striking looks like it's getting better. Kevin Lee, man, could we not see Kevin Lee again? This performance, you know what I mean? You know, it could be one of those performances that the UFC says, man, is it worth keeping him around? Because you know he's probably getting paid pretty good, Sicko, right?
Yeah, I assume that he's not on some, barely entering the UFC deal. You got to assume that he's getting something over there. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what's next for him. I don't know where he goes from here. Last fight we were talking about, I said I don't want to take too much away from him because he lost in 17 seconds, blah, blah, blah. Kevin Lee loses, under a minute as well. But, man, he just looked like he wasn't ready for the fight to begin yet. He looked like he was like, whoa, why are you coming at me yet? Let's work a little. Let's spar a little bit before we get into it. His reaction time looked a little bit slow. He had the double knee braces on. I don't know what's going on with his knees. It's like, man, what is he doing this for? What's his motivation? How was he training in that time off? All of those are questions I would have for Kevin Lee. Like, why are you really here, right? Do you think you can make a run? Do you just, you want that UFC money? Like, what is it? Because, again, there are options, like Rob was saying, that there are options across a whole bunch of different leagues now. You could go to the PFL. You can go to wherever else and try to get a run and try to make some money there, but you were determined to get back to the UFC. So what is your game plan, and how does this affect them? I could definitely see a situation where Kevin Lee goes, nope, I thought it was going to go way better than that. I'm out of here. But we'll have to wait and see.
I will jump in and say that the UFC, if they have him, I don't know how many fights he has on this deal, but there is a talk about it, the ecosystem, right? The natural ecosystem of fighters. And at a certain point, it's not about building a fighter, building the stock up. It's about selling the shit out of it. And if Kevin Lee can be a launching pad for someone like Renat that not a lot of people knew about, but now you do, because he beat someone very recognizable in Kevin Lee, there is still a value to these veteran names from the 20-teens era of the UFC it's
So you're saying that Kevin Lee should stay in the UFC and fight Michael Morales next?
Yes. Perfect. Riddle solved. Excellent.
That's I don't know. I think Kevin Lee should get one more fight. I think that, this fight, he got caught. That was like straight down the pipe. You get caught, you get choked out. You know what I mean? It happens to a lot of the fighters. A lot of the fights happen like that. And they do these training camps for like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14, who knows, right? And they go in there in less than a minute, the fight is over with. I think they should give him another shot. To be honest with you, I would like to see him fight Max Griffin. I think that's a fight at 170 that would be fun to watch. It's kind of like two veterans fighting for their jobs. I like that. I like the two veterans fighting for their jobs scenario. Or you feed him to Michael Morales. You know what I mean? Michael Morales, you say slow burn, and Kevin Lee's, he's tested, right? He's fought some of the best in the world. So why not? Let's see what we're doing. There's two other fights on the prelims I feel like we should discuss before we move on to like other topics. The first one is Joe Anderson Brito. He goes in there and seriously just puts a complete nasty beating on Weston Wilson. I think Weston Wilson bit off more than he can chew, but he had to take the chance, right? He wanted the UFC contract, right? So he had to step in where he can step in, and he met Joe Anderson Brito. What do you want? Joe Anderson Brito goes in there. He learns like a couple words in English, which most of them are, F-bombs, and goes in there and just starts screaming F-bombs. I love that he was out there like screaming for Daddy Gay, even though Daddy Gay is not there. but he's like around the whole like apex. Danny like just sicko. Isn't that funny? Like I love it.
Yeah, dude, he took a page right out of Moicano's playbook, right? You don't have to know English unless it's just enough curse words and just use those, man. But yeah, impressive. What is that now? 3-1 in the UFC. Yeah, he lost his debut, 3 wins in a row. I mean, he was a big favorite, and we see why. I mean, beat the crap out of Buddy. Like that was a beatdown, But
that was called levels. That was called
levels.
For
sure. He was definitely levels above Weston Wilson for sure.
Yeah, that was levels, man. Levels. Jonas Brito, he's probably not gonna get the Dan Ige fight, but I appreciate the call out. I appreciate that he was doing it in his own way, right? While the cameras are on, he's running around the cage, screaming Dan Ige, motherfuck, all of that, right? Just it was great. It was great. Reach for the stars. Sometimes you'll get one, right? And the other performance, and there was a lot of hype, right, behind this guy, Guram. Online, they're like, yeah, this guy, he's so talented. There's a lot of hype. You saw it on Twitter, right? Twitter's the hype area. That's where they hype everybody, right? And Guram was hyped. Where is he? Why is he not fighting? In his first 2 fights, he fought top 15 guys. He didn't get the results, but we saw his level of talent. I think we saw his real level of talent in this fight. And Elves Brenner, man. J-Spec, Elves Brenner. Like, what can you say about him? One thing you know about him is like he dyed his goatee with his hair, which is funny to me. I don't know why it's funny to me, but it's funny to me, like guys that do that, and even his eyebrows. But J-Spec, what the performance, man? He was losing that fight and just took so much damage, and that 3rd round goes in there and TKO's Guram.
That was my first happy and heartbreak of the night. I was happy for the fight. The fight, obviously, I think he got fight of the night, deserved it, like super fucking awesome. Fresh heartache was because I actually picked Guram and he was winning, like you just kind of alluded to. He was winning, and then suddenly he wasn't. And Sickle brought this up, and many people were talking about it in the space, that the fact that Mr. Brenner, is sparring partners and training partners with Charles, there definitely is some kind of rub off factor. Like when you're fighting and training with the very top of the mountain, you gotta just believe in yourself that you can make it through. And he did. He made it through, made it great, spectacular. Like I think this was one of the best fights we could have hoped for, and I'm just stoked. I was a little bummed that I picked the wrong guy, but man, Elves, dude, like I think we have another one, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like another real person to get behind, another real star, a real fighter who can give it as good as, like, he can take it. I mean, all the check marks, man. Just another one that's like, hell yeah, let's see what this dude's about. Match him up appropriately. I know he probably got thrown in a little bit too hard, too fast because he's buddies with Charles, but man, he's real. He's real as it gets, as they say. And man, I couldn't be more happier for that fight. That was the one to see. I've mentioned it several times to other people. Like if you skipped all of the fights and you didn't see any of them, just go watch this one. That was the fight to watch.
Yeah. Is Guram that good, Sicko?
I mean, he looked like it for a round. He looked incredible at the beginning of that fight. But yeah, is he good enough to be up there with the guys at lightweight? Man, that's just such a tough climb. Like that is such a tough division to think that you have to get 3 or 4 wins in the top 15. That's not the division to do it. You got to be really special to make that climb at lightweight. So no, I don't think he is, man. I don't think Guram is good enough to be up there with those guys. I don't think he beats a Saruki and a Gamrot, a Dariush, all those guys. I don't think he beats any of them. So as of right now, right, everything could change. He goes out there and has some brilliant performances, and maybe I'll look back and say I was wrong. But as of right now, no, you need those X factors. You need the cardio to go with it. You need to be able to take a hit and keep moving forward. And he was a late replacement role, right? Was Guram? Wasn't
I believe so.
Because he was supposed to be
fight.
Levitt.
He was supposed to fight Jamie Malarkey, and then he had visa issues, and he stepped in on this fight, right?
Gotcha. Because Alves was supposed to fight Jordan Levitt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I don't want to take too much away from him. So this is one of those fights where I'm not going to take too much away from him because he did look good. There was a lot of moments in that fight where he looked incredible. So I'm not going to take too much away from him, but I am going to give Brenner his flowers because he deserves them. I mean, man, shoot the bucks, dogs, just dogs, dude. Like, gosh, it doesn't matter. Right? Charles said it. I think that's just a mantra that probably goes on. They probably chant it during their warm-ups, like nothing could hit me harder than life. They just probably run around saying that because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how bad you crack them. They just keep going forward. Like, it's crazy to see. There's just something going on in that camp. So it's nice to see another guy from that camp go out there and have that same Charles mentality. Crazy, right? Because that didn't used to be the case for Charles. It was the opposite. And only now that people finally stop with the whole Charles is a quitter, Charles gives up, that type of stuff.
Well, Guram, he debuted against Gamrot and won a split decision, right? And then he lost a split decision to Demir, and then now he gets finished by Els Brenner. Maybe it could be the case of he fights to the level of his competition. You know what I mean? Maybe because I've talked to fighters about this that scenario of like fighting to the level of your competition. Some guys, when they fight the best guys, they have their best performances. When they fight the mid-level guys, they have like less than decent performances. So it could be something. I say we wait until his next fight, but that's 2 losses in a row for Guram, a guy that has a lot of hype on Twitter. I'm not saying he has a lot of hype around the world, but I'm just saying on Twitter he has a lot of hype. But Elves, I don't know where he goes from here, but he's beaten some good names, right? Like for his first 2 fights, he beat Zubaira and then he beat Guram. So let's see what happens. Now, before we move on to talking about next week's pay-per-view, because that's what we need to talk about next. Let's get to some of these comments. Mike's MMA picks. Go get what's yours, my brothers. Thank you for the coverage. Appreciate you, Mike. We'll have Mike on the show. We don't really have 4 people, but we'll have Mike on the show eventually. Make it a foursome someday. CFR TV. Good night, all. What's up, Jacob? What's up, CFR? He's saying the new management deal. He's talking about Kevin Lee right here. Missed the Lee fight. He has made any improvements. Yeah, we were talking about it. Doesn't look like, but he wasn't really able to show it as well. You know what I mean? It's kind of shitty. What is it? M is saying Brenner was a glider in that fight. He beat Zubaira in his debut, so he had been tested before. That's true. And M also mentions that also I think it was short notice for Guram. That could be a factor. I don't think so. I don't think it, because he was in camp for Jamie Malarkey and he just had to extend the camp, right? But I guess you could say that. Now let's move on to the pay-per-view next week, man. We'll preview this a little bit.
One little thing. I feel like it needs to be said. Yana Santos versus Carol Hossa. Bullshit decision. I just have to call out the judges this time. I can't let it slide. We shouldn't let it slide. That was crap. And I got my pick right, but it was crap. Yana got that fight was stolen from her. The judges should be shameful. Okay, moving on. Had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, it's shitty, right? But that was the judges, man. We can't talk about them every week, right? Because then it'll just be like a show about judges. Yeah, just too much shit going on. Anyways, let me get this card on the screen. There we go. Crazy. UFC 290, Volkanovski versus Rodriguez, International Fight Week. J-Spec is there. J-Spec, are you going to be going to all the festivities and stuff like that?
All the festivities, my friend.
All of them?
Yes. I'll even be going to Adam Hunter's MMA comedy show on the 4th, and just all week long trying to get in as much as I can. And then, of course, I actually won't be attending the Fight Live because I'm going to be driving as fast as I can home to launch our spaces so we can watch it digitally with all our friends around the world and enjoy it together. And so I will be there. And if you guys are there, once again, message me, DM me. I want to take pictures with you. I want to link up with you. Let's do shit. Let's enjoy this magical week of the fight game.
All right, so let's see this card. Let's start with the main event, right? We're going to break it down, talk about it a little bit more. We got Volkanovski, who's the champ, versus Rodriguez, who's the interim champ right now. Volkanovski looks like he's sitting at minus 390 as the favorite. Plus 320 is pretty good. Like, I would put some money on that, man. Plus 320. Yair has that danger factor, right? So that's not a bad odds right there. But let's look at the stats, man. 5'6" versus 5'11". The reach, it's the same. Even though Volkanovski's 5 inches shorter, the reach is the same. That's crazy how Volkanovski's built, right? I think that's a major factor in like him winning fights as well. Like, just the reach, sure. People are not ready for it, right? They just see a short guy on the other side of the cage, and then the distance management, he's a master at that. I think a lot of people don't really talk about it too much, but Volkanovski's a master at it. Significant strikes, 6.35 per minute to 4.7. The accuracy is kind of similar. Takedowns, you know, we know that Rodriguez is not a takedown guy, right? So it's not really a factor. Well, it's a factor for Volkanovski if he can take the fight down. But anyways, let's talk about it, man. Volkanovski, he's returning off his only loss in the UFC versus Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title, and facing off against Yair Rodriguez, a guy that's a very diverse striker, a guy that lives in chaos. Like, it doesn't matter if he's hurt, tired, no matter what, he can finish fights. Like, he just throws the wildest things at you. Sicko, let's start with you, man. Mexico.
Yeah, Yair, man. Yair, man, the ultimate improviser. That's what he is in the octagon, man. He's the ultimate improviser. The angles, the shots he throws, the things that he'll throw at you is just, you can't really account for it. I don't know how you find a training partner that can emulate him. So yeah, very dangerous fight. I understand why Volk is the favorite. He should be. Volk looks like he's unbeatable in that weight class. So I understand it completely. I don't think the line is crazy. I think that's probably where it should be at. But it is enticing to throw money on Yair because, man, like you said, he could hit you with anything. And his striking pedigree is crazy. He's getting better off of his back, which is something that he really needs in this fight. I don't think he can keep Volk from taking him to the ground. The question is, can you threaten enough? Can you threaten enough with triangles? Can you threaten enough with arm bars, with different types of submissions, Kimuras, even stuff that you can at least stop Volk from beating you up when you're down there? Get Volk to disengage so you can get the fight back standing. To me, that's his only shot. I really don't see a way that he doesn't end up on his back. But what are you threatening with to get back up? Because we've seen Volk at times be in tough situations on the ground. Volk isn't some jiu-jitsu wizard. One, he has no neck, which definitely helps him, especially with like that Brian Ortega fight. But he has been caught in really vulnerable positions. Islam's on his back a lot. T-City had him, in that mounted guillotine. He had him in a triangle. Like, he can get in these tough situations. And like I said, Yair, he, don't sleep on him. His jiu-jitsu off his back, man. He can throw up some stuff. But if he can keep it standing, that's where it gets really dangerous for Volk, man. This is a fight that I'm really excited for. Mexico, baby. Let's go.
There you go. J-Spec, what do you think of Rodriguez?
I think he's going to lose. I think he's incredibly talented. Fast as hell, very talented, can hit you from everywhere all the time. And we've already seen him. He has like the best buzzer beater KO, in my opinion, in the leagues and the franchise's history. I mean, the guy is talent, movement, speed, all that stuff, but it ain't gonna be enough. It's gonna be and still, baby. One of the ways you look at some of the stuff in life, I'll use this metaphor. The fastest car out there isn't that fast when it's raining. And Volkanovski can change the conditions of the fight to suit his needs. Volkanovski is a maestro out there. He changes what is subtly happening in the fight to favor him. It's very clever of him what he does. I don't understand it all the way, because if I did, I would be shooting Max a message and, hey, dude. But no, all joking aside, Volkanovski and Yair is a fight that I think everyone should be excited for. I think Yair poses a real threat. I think he can win, but I don't think he's going to. Volkanovski is a man in his time right now. And like I said, he just finds a way to make the fight eventually suit his needs. And let's go, Volk. Let's go.
This is a dangerous fight for Volk. I feel like this is this is the most dangerous fight in the last couple. You know what I mean? As in getting finished. You know, not losing, but as in getting finished. Like Sicko mentioned it. Like standing up, he's the ultimate improviser, right? Like just the guy can throw switch kicks. He can throw spinning elbows, right? These are dangerous techniques for anybody, right? Especially for somebody that's a shorter fighter, right? Because when you're kicking, like you could kick to the body and then, you know, for a normal guy, but when you're kicking to the body to Volk, it's much lower. And then the head kicks will come up a lot easier, right? Like you could throw head kicks and you don't have to kick as high. Like you're not throwing a kick to a 5'11" guy, you're throwing a kick to a 5'6" guy, right? Like it's very dangerous, you know, for Volk. And I think that this fight is going to be a very close fight, and the fight's going to end up being a finish either way. Volkanovski, of course, I favor him to win this fight. I think if the way that I see Volkanovski winning this fight is he takes the fight to the ground and just mauls Yair from top. And I feel like the fight versus Ortega is a good fight for his experience, because now he knows, like, okay, like I can't get in these dangerous positions because we know Yair can do the same. He can throw up triangles. You know, he just triangled Josh Emmett, right? And we've seen it in the past. But we also seen him get mauled off his back with Frankie Edgar. And yeah, I think Volkanovski is much stronger than Frankie Edgar. And I feel like he has better ground and pound than Frankie Edgar. And if Yair stays on his back too long, dude, it's not going to be good for him. And if Yair wins, on the flip side, I see him getting a TKO on the feet or something like that, right? Where he landed some like up elbow, spinning backflip off the cage, Showtime kick or something crazy like that, right? Like I could see something like that happening, right? Because that's what you need against Volkanovski. You need something that is so unorthodox that nobody saw it coming. And I think Yair's pretty fast as well, right? His speed it might cause Volkanovski some problems, right? And we've seen Volkanovski get hit too, right? It's not like he hasn't been hit. He hasn't dropped to a knee. We've never seen him like rocked, but we've seen him drop to a knee, right? Like we've seen him like get dropped and get back up right away. There's a difference between being rocked and getting dropped to a knee, right? There's a difference, I think, right? When you're rocked, you're just like, whoa, like it's shaky, right? I don't think we've seen that from Volkanovski at all. But have we? I don't know. I don't think so.
Not that I can recall. No. I mean, the Islam fight, he took some shots, but just dropped. Yeah. He dropped to the knee once, popped back up, and started swinging.
And we've seen that against Max as well. Max hit him with that head kick. He dropped to the knee, popped right back up, and was at it again, right? So
the dude, you don't have a neck. When you don't have a neck, there's not enough wobble. You know what I mean?
And he got a big ass head too. He got a huge head, right, for that body, right? I'm telling you, he's built different. Like when people say, "Oh, you're built different," he's built like literally. He's built different. His arms are super long. His legs are like real short, long torso, big ass head, right? Like he can take punishment. And this fight is going to be.
I don't know what it is about this one, man. Like there's just something about Yair. I feel like some up the middle. I've been saying this time and time again. And with Yair, it doesn't have to, when you hear like, okay, something up the middle, you go, okay, a knee or an uppercut or a front kick. Like it could be an elbow up the middle from a downward angle, like, you know, coming from down up, like it could be anything, but something up the middle, you know, especially like in the clinch, if they find themselves in the clinch, a knee, some type of like switch flying knee up the middle, like something crazy like that. But we saw Volk get hit with it a bunch against Islam, which I get it. You're not going to, the preparation, right? Coming in, you're not going to fight Yair the way you fought Islam. But that's where he's vulnerable, is that stuff up the middle, and then eventually setting up those like switch kicks and stuff. But there's something, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just, you know, the Mexican blood in me. It's just got me feeling like Yair might land something crazy.
I haven't really seen much about Yair's camp, and like he's been really like secretive, it seems like he's been preparing, and we don't hear much, not many interviews being done with Yair or his team. But I've gotten to interview somebody, a couple people from Volkanovski's team, and Volkanovski brought in Carl Van Roon, who's like 11-time world champion, taekwondo, karate master, black belt, all of that stuff. He's the one that was helping Izzy with his fights. And then he brought in like Blood Diamond and another fighter named Brenton Mumford, who are really long strikers. and tall and a lot of kick oriented, right? So he's getting ready with the right guys, right? He's seeing the distance that he needs to control, and yeah, man, it's a master class right here. Like Yair's gonna go in there with his style, and it's gonna be fun to watch, man. I think this is gonna be I think when it's over, it's gonna be like one of those fights of the year. Like it's two of the guys at their best. Yair's 30 years old, dude. Like he's right at the beginning.
It's time, yeah.
It's his time, right? If he can't beat Volkanovski now, he's never gonna beat Volkanovski. It's almost like Max in 3 times, right? Like if you're never going to beat Volkanovski, he got 3 chances, right? Like Yair's not going to get 3 chances. Like he's going to get 1 chance, and let's see if he can do it, man. It's gonna be a great
It's definitely fight. The fight of his life, fight of his career, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Let's go to the co-main event, right? Another Mexican champion, right? This one is like, why do they have it? But Mexico's going to be deep in Las Vegas. Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja has 2 victories over Moreno, but this was years ago. Brandon Moreno is a completely different fighter. We'll start with Sicko, of course. What do you see in this?
Pantoja's dangerous, man. He's a dangerous dude, and the thing I'm most interested in is seeing Moreno's mentality. How do you hold those 2 losses? Because you can say, yeah, they were a long time ago. I'm a way different fighter, but some people can't. Some people hold on to those losses. People that we may think of mentally, maybe not their strong suit. Remember Rose and Carla. There was no reason for Rose to lose that second fight to Carla. It was all in her head. She thought, man, she beat me once. I don't want to get in there. I don't want to do this. So it's going to be interesting to see Brandon Moreno do those 2 losses stick with you. How much are you willing to risk? Are you hesitant because of it? Are you thinking he's better in certain areas because that's where he got you in the last couple fights? That's what I'm interested to see. Win or lose, like, are you just going to go out there, be the dog that you are, have a championship mentality? I don't care you beat me twice. Who's walking out with the belt? Me, not you. I'm the one that's been doing the work here. I'm the one that's been getting these wins. I'm the champion. You're the challenger. Have that mentality and go out and be the Brandon Moreno you've been over the last year or 2. And if he does that, man, I still like Brandon. Like he's just so versatile. He can do damage with his hands, the kick to the body against Kai, the ability to scramble out of tough positions with Figgy and get to his back and finish it there. Like Brandon can finish the fight anywhere. He's good everywhere, which is kind of class so small Twitch that kind of good everywhere. Yeah, Pantoja, in my opinion, in that division is the most dangerous guy for Moreno. So this is going to be the biggest fight for me. I know the Figgy fights were huge, but this is like the one that solidifies Moreno as one of the best at that division ever.
The ground game, man. I think Pantoja's ground game is going to be a crazy factor in this fight, but Moreno's been fighting killer after killer after killer, and he's been like underestimated as well throughout that time. Like, this is a guy that's going to come in. I don't know, man. I see Moreno as a huge favorite in this fight. That's just the way that I look at it. Just by looking at the strength of schedule and then the way that he's performed at the stage too, because these are championship fights, man. Like these are all like 5 rounders as well. Moreno wins. Pantoja, when has he fought 5 rounds? Right? Has he ever fought 5 rounds? I don't even think so, right? And he's doing it on a pay-per-view for the title. That's gonna be a factor. If Pantoja wins, I see him winning inside 3 rounds. If Moreno wins, I think Moreno wins it in the championship rounds. That's just the way I look at it. J-Spec, what do you see in this matchup?
I think that people hold on to the narrative of what he did in the past. It's not even comparable. Brandon Moreno has gone through, like you said, and matured, experienced so much awesome and terrifying and challenging and shit, and he's come out the other side the champ. Like that's who he is. He's the champ. And just like the main event, I'm calling in still, baby, because I don't want to be I don't feel the threat from Pantoja. I don't think there's something that Moreno's going to be caught off guard with. He has so much experience in these high pressure situations. And let's flip it the other way. people go, oh, he already beat him twice. He could beat him 3 times in a row. It's a mental thing, blah, 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 blah. Dude, Moreno has already gone through the hard stuff of doing redemption. This is his like, haha, like just like Sickle said, like this is his crowning moment of his championship. This is like the I've defeated all the demons of my past. Like, give it to me, give it all the glory to me now. I deserve it. And I think just like we've seen him do before, he's gonna rise to the occasion. He's gonna kick a lot of ass. And I don't think this fight is gonna be competitive at all. I know. Maybe I'm just hurting people's feelings on that one.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I think Moreno just freight trains him. I think it's gonna be like levels type stuff when we're done with this.
All right. There you go. You guys got the co-main and the main. If you guys are wondering what we're looking at on the screen, this is the AllStar app. Go into descriptions, download it. Also make your picks. Join JSpec's League. Join any league. There's a bunch of them in there. And JSpec's League is special because he's the one giving out prizes. It's going to be a fun one. Let's go to the rest of the card. If you look at the rest of the card, which one? We'll start with you, JSpec. Which fight are you looking forward to? Because it's stacked, dude. Like there's you got some crazy fights, but like which one are you looking forward to the most, JSpec?
Oh, man, can I insert a quarter for extra lives? Like, this card is so fucking good. I'm gonna make a small complaint before I make my choice. The fact that Bo Nickel is above in the fight order, and I don't know if this is the official fight order, but it's sitting. His fight is sitting above Robert Whitaker and Dricus. That shit's criminal. If that's really the fight order and how it's coming out, start writing letters and emails and sending out tweets like that's
the fight order that I have is Whitaker, DPP as the third fight from the top.
Okay.
So Bo and Gore open up.
I'll put my bitching guns away then for another time. But with that being said, maybe call me old school. Call me old school. Go for it. I'm okay with it. But Robbie Lawler, Nico Price, man, I got so much love for Robbie. He threw it down in Hawaii when he had to leave the UFC and worked his way back, and he's a legend. And this is going to be his final fight. I think everybody knows that now, and if they don't, now you just learned it. So with that being said, this is a Legends final hurrah going against another veteran. You know, Nico's no joke, and this is the kind of stuff I talk about all the time. When veterans are matched up accordingly with people, you get awesome fights, and I expect nothing less from the amazing Robbie Lawler to give us another. Let's be talking about this with a lot of enthusiasm for the next week and months after this. Salute to both men. Good luck in your preparation and your final several days before we actually get to see you fight. I hope everything goes good. But man, I mean, what I would be a super dickhead to not mention our boy Dan Hooker. Like, Dan Hooker's fighting our boy Jalen. Like, I mean, everybody's boy is fighting everybody's boy. But if I had to pick one, I said it already. Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. One more time for the old school.
Sicko, what about you?
The fight that I'm most interested in, Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner. Man, that's going to be a good fight. That's going to be a war. Like, Dan Hooker can go to places, man. He could go to some dark places, and Jalen Turner is going to have to be prepared for that. Fight that I'm looking for is that one. Fighter, Yasmin Jauregui. Very excited to see her return. She has been on my radar since her first UFC fight. She fights like an absolute animal. She's not normal. If you follow her, if you've seen her training regimen, I don't know if she sleeps. I don't know if she does anything. All I see is her working out nonstop. She's ripped. She looks like GSP in a female body. Like, it's crazy to see her work ethic. She fights to finish every single time, man. She throws crazy combinations. Keep an eye out for her, man. She's exciting to watch.
Since you got a fighter shout out, I want to shout out my fellow Hawaiian, Kamuela Kirk, because he's coming back after a pretty serious injury. And you know what I mean? Let's go, my Hawaiian.
All right. Well, there you go. That's going to be a crazy event right there. UFC 290 next week, International Fight Week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of those fights, man. That card is stacked, man. There's going to be some insane outcomes and a lot of upsets, stuff like that. Make sure you guys go and download the AllStar app so you could make your picks on the event and future events, and just utilize the app, man. If you like the NBA, NFL, whatever sport. You could customize it to your liking. Crazy Pato. Pato, what is Pato in Spanish? Is that even a word?
Yes, duck.
Duck. Okay, there you go.
Crazy duck.
That's why he's a duck on the on his.
Why
is okay? So okay, this makes more sense. Why is the UFC taking so long to give Gamrot and Fiziev a fight? I don't know. I talked to Fiziev. I saw him in Phuket, and he told me that that's the fight that he wants. It's just getting it signed. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to figure out where they want to put that fight. I think that's what it is. Is that, are they going to put it on like a pay-per-view as a 3-rounder, or are they going to put it on a main event fight night? And Fiziev said he's down for both, right? Yep. So he wants to be back as soon as possible. I think they're just trying to figure out the date, and then the contracts will be signed. But Fiziev, he's training, man. I was down there with him. He's doing like SNC, like he's working, man. Like that fight against Gaethje, you know, he, in his mind, he's like, I lost that fight, man. I made a lot of mistakes. I got caught up in the moment of the crowd. He told me that. He's just like,
interesting,
you know, and now I just got to work, man, again, and work harder. And I think that's a good mentality to have. You know what I mean,
big respect to
It'd be because it's very easy to say, I won that fight. Enough people said I won that fight. I won that fight.
A lot of people said he won the fight. A lot of people were like, what the hell is wrong with the scoring? We talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it.
Yeah, we did.
No, we did.
Yeah, we did. Right. We talked about it. Like, it was just like crazy. Right. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Pato, thank you so much for the questions. Everybody else, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week. This is the usual time, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back after the pay-per-view and talk about the craziness, right? You guys got anything to say, J-Spec, before we're out of here?
Just one more time, make sure you are in the AllStar Sports app. Join all the leagues, have fun with everybody, but make sure you join in mine. Come visit us on the Twitter app in Spaces. Join me and Sicko. We run a watch party the whole dang time. Come and enjoy however much time you can. We're bringing fighters in all the time. We just had Marcus McGee in there. Kyler Phillips joined us just on accident at random. Thanks, Sicko, for that. And, you know, I'm always working hard trying to get fighters and coaches and whoever else we can get into the space so we can enjoy these fights together. Last but not least, get your picks in, because giving away autograph MMA memorabilia to the best picker in the space for this upcoming UFC pay-per-view. And I'll just hurry up one last time. Adam Hunter's comedy show in Las Vegas is going to be MMA topics for sure. During International Fight Week, be there. Fighter Hall of Fame ceremony, I'll be there. Expo, be there. Like, let's get together, man. Let's enjoy this amazing week, like I said before. So let's do it.
What about you, Sicko?
Nothing much, man. Just join the community. Come join us. Come hang out with us. Join those spaces. Like Rob said, it's great space, man. I know Rob isn't going to toot his horn too much, so I'll do it for him. It's an awesome place to be. You don't have to worry about people saying dumb things. It's not the Wild Wild West where people are just trying to be offensive and say whatever reaction thing they can get. Like, it's a cool space where people actually know what they're talking about. A lot of good information. You learn a lot. And yeah, like Rob said, we got some fighters that come through time and time that share their stories. You get some cool background things that you didn't even know about them that you get to learn more about in a space where they're not getting like interviewed, right? They're just talking. They're just shooting the shit. Like, it's cool, man. Come by and join us. It's a dope community.
Yeah. And before we go, I just want to plug some of the interviews that I've done in the past couple of weeks, just for upcoming events. You got next week's show, UFC 290. I interviewed Volkanovski's head coach Joe Lopez and his wrestling coach Frank Hickman. Go check those interviews out. Also, Dan Hooker interview for UFC 290, and Cameron Simon, he's fighting on that card as well. The week after, UFC Vegas 77, I got Nazim Sadikov as well as Carl Deaton and a few others. And then the week after that, UFC London, a few interviews coming up there. Check those out. Hit a like on it, you know what I mean? Throw a comment down. Also interviewed James Gallagher. He's coming back at the next UFC or next Bellator event. Did an interview with him, and a couple of updates with Rafael Fiziev and Sam Patterson of the UFC. But a bunch of interviews coming this week, man. When I look at my calendar, it's pretty insane, right? Like, the names, just Bellator and UFC. So we'll see what happens. Thank you everybody for joining us. Derek Yates, eat a dick.